Shalom, brother and sister, truth seekers. Was an interesting day today. It, I think there are a few people that are. I have some questions I'm waiting to hear back on. So this isn't like the final. This is just the end of the day update, and when I do a final video, hopefully I hear from. There might be some last pieces of information or confirmation about data coming in, questions I had, but preliminarily from what I've seen so far, and who I've heard from, and the data that was clear enough for me to interpret right away, it seems pretty much unanimous that people were seeing the straight line everywhere on the 20th, uh, everywhere on Earth. So it was either the straight line or possibly some people might have even been seeing a flip already, which I guess is something to consider, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. So without further ado, hopefully my computer's not going to act weird tonight. But I'm just going to run through this spreadsheet, and I wanted to show you I did upload this spreadsheet. Here we go. So if you click in the description below this video, you'll see a shared Dropbox, a link for a shared Dropbox folder. You should open up to something that looks like this, and right here is the spreadsheet that we will be walking through that has this latest information that we're just going to talk through. So you can use this kind of as an index to find like who you're interested in seeing their data like closer, and then see, this is going to be something. My computer is unfortunately not behaving normally. So I'm going to walk through the spreadsheet, and all the data is here if you want to take a closer look. I do have a few pictures that I opened up ahead of time, anticipating my computer was not going to cooperate, unfortunately. But it's available for you to come and take a deep dive and look into it. So that said, I'm going to try and talk through these, and I'm going to focus on kind of the solid witnesses. I appreciate everyone who has contributed data, and I encourage you all to, I try and supply contact information for everyone who felt comfortable supplying contact information. If you have any questions, like maybe the data they collected from that part of the world was really important to you, and even though I didn't qualify it as like a solid data set, like maybe you would like to get in touch with them and discuss their data more, I can get that contact information for you if it's not shown here. But for now, I'm going to go through the what I was calling solid witnesses here, and I want to explain. I changed my color coding system a little bit in this column here, column H, and I think it's working out well. So because I'm starting to create these more detailed notes, because it's not really enough. Like I have one person here, and I have one row, but then I have multiple days of data that I'm recording information for. And so I've started just including a whole lot of extra notes, and I needed a way to be able to flag for myself, well, this was from this day and it was strong data, and that's why I call it dark green. And as you can see, some of these are light green, which is still a good data set, but not optimal. And then dark green, solid, black is just not what I'm calling solid, but it's still important to consider, and it's like it's coming from this individual, and that's why it's here. But so I'm flagging the text like that. But to start at the beginning, I know Enzo and Alan were both trying in Australia. I believe the weather seems to be a little bad down under over there. So I don't know. I think maybe they were cut off. They couldn't get the full 10 hours of data, but I appreciate them trying. And I just want to say about that, like unfortunately, the thing I've noticed is for Equinox events, if you collect 8 hours of data, not to say this was bad, I mean, do the best you can, but But unfortunately, what I've noticed is if you collect 8 hours of data with the table method, it just it can appear like you're seeing a straight line for multiple days in a row around the equinox. In fact, I heard from somebody earlier this evening who thought they were seeing the equinox all the way on the 18th, and unfortunately, I think it was they only had 8 to 8.5 hours of data, and I think that was a perfect example of what I'm talking about here, where it can appear straight, and you really to that's really the main criteria for what I'm calling solid. Like, and I should even say that like 10 hours. Someone say 10 hours, and then what I call optimal is 9 hours. Well, no, okay, that's still, I think it's something to consider. I wouldn't ignore it. I mean, I wouldn't ignore any of this, but this is solid. I don't have much doubts about it, and this is good to consider as well. But just to, yeah, I appreciate the data, and by all means, I encourage you all to reach out to everybody if you have any specific questions or want to probe deeper. And pictures of their data, Enzo and Ellen, nonetheless, I think are in the database. If you click that link, yeah, Eastern Australia, you'll find their data in there. So going on to Wendy, she had, I believe, a solid day on the 20th. Looks pretty straight with a few outliers. She uploaded a picture to the solar tracking Facebook group, um, where she kind of did like a flyover of her data, and it did look pretty straight. Um, I would show you that, but, well, I tried to download a couple videos from Facebook today, and it nearly blew up my computer, and it just doesn't seem like my computer wants to open anything. So I wasn't able to save her video in this database. Well, I think I took a few pictures of like maybe her first and last points of the day. But we'll look at some of these other data sets, but it's all here for you. One thing you might want to do while you're watching this video is maybe open this folder, and then as I talk through this spreadsheet, you can pause the video and go look if you want to see someone's data up close. But these notes, I think it should be pretty straightforward. You're looking for the specific date, and then there's like all the times, and what color are the points and marks you're looking for, and all that stuff you can find described here. We are going to look at a couple of these pictures down central United States this year. Seems to have really kudos to those tracking there. They did quite well. And so did I mean everyone who tried. But it's just there are some good data sets this year. So this she had solid data on the 19th. I think she had one of the best data sets from the 19th, showing the pre-equinox curve still. This data that she had today was it looked straight. Um, she had two boards. One looked straight, the other one looked like it had a slight curve, and then the one on the ground looked straight if you ignore the first rock on the ground to call it an outlier. So that was that. I think that the combination of her having a solid day the day before, showing the 19th, was not straight. I think that's why I qualify her as a solid, even though from the 20th wasn't. Like, if you have a day of data that like was on the equinox and was solid, or was the day before or the day after and was solid, that's a reason I flag it, because it's important to consider. Like, we have a solid witness to show that on the 19th it was not straight, so we can rule out that possibility. Like, it's a important one to consider. So here, this came from a brother in Germany, and I'm waiting for some confirmation of the first the times. I need to know the time of the first and last point of the day. Another brother in New Jersey was trying to get me some data, but he was having trouble uploading it. He did the equatorial sundial and the straight line method. So stay tuned for more on that. Me, I have been getting half days of sunshine and then unfortunately clouded out for my evening points. So I've not been able to get a full day of data, but I have actually been able to snap pictures of the sun with my solar filter, that experiment I was working on. And just for closure on that, I want to pull. I got 3 pictures I'm going to share. Not online, just one picture of mine. But this was interesting. What I learned from this is, and I need to take back what I said in previous videos. I unfortunately I don't think you can cheat with this method of taking pictures of the sun. Like I thought maybe it was somehow more detailed and you could like see that curve more easily with a shorter spread of data, like not 10 hours, only 3 hours. But I had a problem with my camera where it was resizing the photos automatically behind the scenes, and so I had to turn all that nonsense off. And for the past 2 days, I've been able to take pictures without all that readjusting stuff. And what I did was, I'm just taking a picture of the sun as it coasts across the sky directly, and I have a solar filter plate in front of my camera to snap these pictures. And so there's nothing conclusive here. Both days look straight though, and that's just an example. Like I made some of these photos transparent. You can barely see the corner of a photo here and there. You can barely see the dot there. I made some of these transparent so I could overlay them and like see all the points side by side. Um, but this is an important example of what I'm trying to say. Like if you have fewer hours of data, you're gonna get multiple days that look straight. And like this is only 3 hours of data around midday, and both of these lines look straight. And for 2 days, like it's not like there's one day and it's like, oh, it's straight. So like and that seems to happen all the way up to 8.5, 9 hours. Like anything under 9 hours, I've seen the day before and the day after the Equinox event still appear to be straight, potentially on all 3 of those days. And as you drop the hours, like this 3 was only 3 hours, I think that you would see it would appear to be straight for quite a few days, like maybe even weeks before the Equinox event. If you only recorded 3 hours of data, you'd be getting data sets that look straight. But so anyway, this was useful to discuss for that purpose. But also, what I was trying to do here wasn't really to confirm the Equinox. That just kind of was a thought that occurred after the fact. What I'm trying to do here is confirm the exact path that the sun is tracing in the heavens, to see if when we come to this fall, if the sun is in these exact positions for the straight line in the fall, because it seems like there's something weird going on with the timing of that fall straight line, and it's just not matching anyone's counts that I'm aware of. So I this is important for me, and we'll see this again as time goes forward, because I'm going to want to see where is the sun in the fall compared to where it was here in the spring. So enough about that. There was I guess this was the other day at Qumran Sundial. I don't have a date on that one. I think that was the 19th though. But okay, here's a nice. This one I think I do have a picture of. So this was solid for 2 days in a row, like close to 11 hours of data both days. And it looked straight except for one outlier, and she said she had clouds. And so that's very important. Let me see if I can pull up her photo. I think this is it. Yep. So she has this string going over her point, and I guess she had these pins in there, first and last points of the day. But here you can see this is her last point of the day. Everything else looks perfectly straight except for this one. And she notes like there were clouds and the light was very faint. And that can happen. Like, and you really she's pushing it a little bit here, going over 10 hours. Like I really think 10 is the sweet spot. Like it seems like if you have really strong sunlight, sure, go for more than 10. But if you if you go into those really early and really late evening points, and you got faint sunlight, you might see stuff like this happening, where it's just really hard to tell what's going on, and you got one of these points like throwing everything off. But if you ignore it, they look straight, and I think that is a pretty reasonable and solid data set, because this is still quite a long spread of data. I think I did the math, and it's still almost 11 hours of data. So that one was solid. I think. And I did not hear from Prophecy Vine today. I know he said his readings were inconclusive yesterday, but he's pretty seems pretty diligent with the artillery. So again, this isn't the final summary video. If I hear any updates from him, I'll update this when I hear from him. We saw Squirrely Nations again. I heard from him today, and he had an interesting data set. He thought, what does he say here? He thought he was already seeing a flipped curve a little bit, which is fascinating. But unfortunately, I don't know how much hours of data he collected. Yeah, uh, I, I'm waiting for him to get back to me on that. So if I hear from him, I can update this. But we're going to see this again, um, for Remnant of Light. So stay tuned. Iowa was terrific. I think that might be the other picture I have. 10 hours of data, 3 separate boards, had mother, son, and daughter all doing it, all learning it. I love it. That's I hope just everyone is teaching the next generation how to do this. But this is mom's board, and she had purple, and they're pretty straight. And this was 10 hours of data. So nice, solid witness there, I think. Um, and the pictures of everyone's data are in the folder if you want to check that out. Missouri was another great data set. Like, excellent. They did a flyover video. This was one of the other ones I tried to download today and blew up my computer. But it's on the Facebook group, and there are photos in the folders, my database, of, like, they took the picture of the first point of the day, the middle points, and then the last point, so you can see where the line was with respect um, to the data points. But I think that one was solid. And if you want to see the video, it's on the Facebook group, or I can get that for you. You can see these are faint green for Nebraska, but it was really close to being like solid. So I wouldn't discount this at all. I think this is a very, very strong data to consider for all the days they collected, the 19th. Um, but you'll see I flag it as not solid green but light green, but still it's in agreement with what everyone is seeing. It's just not what I like to call that optimal set, but that's totally okay. It was an excellent effort, and still a very, very strong witness that I would totally rely upon. And there were 3. I think she had children doing it as well. So that was good. That all those pictures are available. Then we have Remnant of Light. I think that's pretty much the last one. I'm just going to jump ahead real quick. Vallejo, Rob. He was actually the one who I mentioned earlier, who had 8 to 8.5 hours of data. And I think the tip of his gnomon, I wanted to try and get a close up with that, because if it's not a sharp point, that unfortunately can mess with things a little bit. But very diligent. He had 3 different boards out there, and we're all getting better and better at this. And so I think he thought he was seeing the straight line on the 18th, but unfortunately I think that can happen with the shorter spread of data. And I didn't hear from Manna from Heaven Ministries today, and I think there was some new artillery data from the 20th also confirming they thought they were seeing our Miller reading on the 20th. So back to remnant of light to wrap this up. Um, they had good. I would say Remnant of Light is probably the go-to for armillary data. They are very diligent and knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to calibrating that tool properly. And they did the straight line test on the table as well. And this is where things get interesting. And this was like the last thing I looked at. Like it's past midnight. It's like 1 a.m. here, and I'm like trying to wrap this all this data up and this video up. And their picture and their data was the video I reviewed was the last thing I looked at, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is going to be just a simple thing to update here. I saw their data from the 19th, it was good, and we're going to look at their data from the 20th, and I'm sure it's going to be straight, and everything's going to be happy and done with. But as I watched their video, I realized at the end they said they thought they were seeing a slightly flipped post-equinox curve. I think it was straight most of the day, and then right at the end they saw this little bit of a flipped curve, similar to what Squirrely Nations thought he was seeing earlier. But you can look. I have links. I guess I have a link for their last video of the day here, so you can check that out in the spreadsheet. But you go to their YouTube channel, Remnant of Light, and they've got videos for the 19th and the 20th. And if you look at them, like they got excellent data, and it as far as I can remember, and what we saw, what they thought they were seeing was a slight pre-equinox curve on the 19th. And then on the 20th, they thought they were seeing a slight post-equinox curve on the 20th. So, like, not a straight day at all. And this gets into a discussion that our thoughts I think we've talked about a little bit before, and I've been chewing on ever since actually the brother from Germany mentioned a year or two ago. I I used to think that the sun would stop on the celestial equator and kind of ride the celestial equator to create the straight line that we see on our sundial boards, but I think it's possible the sun is crossing over the celestial equator in a moment of time, potentially, like what modern science is saying. Anything is possible. Maybe it's not. But just as food for thought, what I'm seeing here and what I'm seeing in this data seems to be confirming it, is that the more accurate we get at doing this, I think most of us are perceiving what appears to be a straight line because it's so close. I think as the sun gets really close to the celestial equator, we start to perceive it as straight. But maybe it doesn't actually ride the celestial equator. Maybe it's just like right before it gets to the celestial equator, we start perceiving it as straight, and then when it passes the celestial equator, we still perceive it as straight with our 10 hours of data. But they're getting close to 11 hours of data on both of these days, and I think there's I think there's a chance that's legit. Like, I mean, really, that might be a thing, and that might be how it works. And you have to watch their videos to take a closer look. But I think it was kind of obvious that on the 19th it was more curved than on the 20th. So even though there was a slight curve on both days, I think it was more obvious on the 19th. So I would say that the 20th was the quote unquote straight line day, even though there was a slight post equinox curve. But it's just that they're so good at this, and they're seeing such a fine level of measurement. Sorry about that. My computer is really acting up, just throwing fits. I recorded an extra 3 minutes, and then it just cut it off. Uh, so I just wanted to say, I think to wrap this up, it's just something interesting to consider here. Let me know your thoughts, but I think potentially, I think more people would see this kind of thing, especially with a taller sundial too. Um, those sundials on the ground, I think is another way to see a higher level of detail than most people see. Um, on the board. But yeah, potentially, them seeing a slight post equinox curve with an optimal setup and optimal time and sunlight and all this stuff, I think most people would see the straight line. Uh, and maybe there is no such thing as a perfectly straight line. Uh, it's just most people aren't able to see that fine level of detail where you would see a curve one way or the other if you had more data. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. But I think so. I think that's reasonable. Like, and sorry, the recording cut off, but I think if you watch these videos, I think it's pretty clear that the 19th was more curved than the slight curve that you saw on the 20th. So, if there was a day that was closest to a straight line, I think that would be the 20th. But that's it for now. Stay tuned. I always wait like 2 or 3 days to see if any straggler data sets come in before making a final video. And like as you could see from this video, there were some unanswered questions. So as I get those answered and everything compiled, I'll put together like one final summary video of the data. But everything is at your fingertips, so you can drill in and take a closer look at things. And if something's missing, or if you know of somebody who is collecting and I don't have their data, should be including it or should be mentioning it, or someone has an opinion, voice your opinion. Let me know about these data sets. We'll get them included. Um, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for all your diligent efforts. Like, we're all learning, and I know it's not always easy with the snow and the clouds and the rain and all this, but we're learning, and we're heading in the right direction. And the creator, what's that verse? It's the glory of the current creator to conceal a matter, and the honor of kings to seek it out. And he's mysterious, and he doesn't reveal everything right away. He has a perfect timing for revealing his truths to us as we diligently seek after him. As I think Paul said, as we like feel after him, like, he, and I believe like seek and you will find, and it's just a matter of time. And he's not gonna leave us. He's not gonna leave a not share something with us that we need to know. And so I think it's just a matter of time. And yeah, stay with it in his perfect time. Like, he didn't reveal everything to Martin Luther, and these big revelations of truth over the years. Like, he didn't just download everything to one person all at once. So it's just our time, and this is what. Oh man, this yeah, my computer or this recording software is something. It just keeps cutting me off. I'm using Microsoft Clipchamp. If anyone has any suggestions for better video, like screen recording software, let me know. But anyway, I keep trying to wrap this up, but it just keeps chopping off the last like 10% of whatever video. If I make a 5-minute video, 10-minute video, it just keeps chopping off the last 10%. Anyway, so I just wanted to say yes, that the creator has a perfect timing for revealing his truths, and I totally believe he's going to, if we seek diligently with pure hearts, he is going to reveal his truths to us. So I encourage you to do that. And yeah, let me know if there's any data I'm missing, or please have loving iron sharpening iron about anything that was discussed in this video. So stay tuned, and shalom, and may Allah bless you as you continually seek out his truths in love with a pure heart.